Dallas, July 6, 2026. The 91st minute. Cristiano Ronaldo stands near the center circle, hands on his hips, watching Mikel Merino, a substitute, on the pitch for barely 6 minutes, slide the ball past Diogo Costa. Portugal 0, Spain 1. And just like that, 23 years of international football, over. 6 World Cups, a record no man had ever touched. And the one trophy he wanted more than anything on this earth gone. Not in a final, not in a semi-final, in a round of 16. One of football's greatest stories was supposed to end with Ronaldo lifting the World Cup. Instead, Portugal walked off the pitch in Texas with nothing but silence. But here's the question that's been tearing the football world apart ever since that night. Was Portugal defeated by Spain, or did they defeat themselves? Because the player many believed would help Ronaldo create history, the man who had just produced the greatest creative season the Premier League has ever seen became the person millions of fans now blame for ending it. His name is Bruno Fernandes. And by the end of this video, you're going to have to decide for yourself. Was Bruno the reason Ronaldo's dream died? Or is he taking the fall for something much bigger? To understand what Portugal lost that night in Dallas, you have to understand what this tournament meant. Cristiano Ronaldo is 41 years old. 41. When he made his World Cup debut in Germany in 2006, Lamine Yamal, the teenager who stared him down in that round of 16, hadn't even been born yet. 5 Ballons d'Or. 5 Champions Leagues. The all-time record for international goals. A European Championship. A Nations League title. There's almost nothing in football Ronaldo hasn't won. Almost. The World Cup is the hole in the middle of the greatest resume the sport has ever seen. It's the trophy Pelé has 3 times. The trophy Maradona defined. The trophy Messi finally lifted in Qatar, the image that, fairly or not, ended the greatest debate in football history for millions of fans. So when Roberto Martínez named his squad on May 19, 2026, and Ronaldo's name was on the list for a record 6th World Cup, this stopped being a tournament. It became a farewell tour with a mission. And here's the thing this time, it didn't feel like a fantasy. Just 1 year earlier, in June 2025, Portugal had beaten this exact same Spain side in the Nations League final. On penalties, with Ronaldo on the pitch. Remember that. It matters later. Portugal weren't dreamers. They were winners. They had beaten the best team in Europe when it counted. And everyone remembered how the last one ended. Qatar, 2022. Ronaldo dropped to the bench for the knockout rounds. Cameras catching him walking off alone after Morocco knocked Portugal out. Tears streaming down his face, disappearing down the tunnel while his teammates stood frozen on the pitch. For 4 years, that was the image. The greatest of all time, crying in a hallway in Doha. He refused to let that be the ending. While the world told him to retire, he kept scoring in Saudi Arabia, kept his body in machine condition, kept saying the same thing in every interview: the dream isn't over. Every neutral fan on the planet quietly wanted the fairy tale. Even people who spent 15 years arguing for Messi looked at this 41-year-old man dragging himself through one last summer and thought, go on then. Finish the story. This wasn't just another tournament. This was Ronaldo's final chapter, which is exactly what makes what happened next so painful. Look at this squad. Seriously, look at it. Diogo Costa in goal, a penalty-saving machine. Ruben Dias marshalling the defense. Nuno Mendes and João Cancelo flying down the flanks. Rafael Leal's chaos. João Felix's flair. Goncalo Ramos, a man who once scored a World Cup hat-trick coming off the bench. And the midfield. Oh, the midfield. João Neves. Vitinha. Bruno Fernandes. Before a single ball was kicked, analysts were calling it the strongest midfield at the entire World Cup. 2 Champions League winners from PSG's all-conquering machine, plus the most productive attacking midfielder in England. This was not a team hoping to compete. This was a team built to win the whole thing. But having the best players does not always mean having the best team. And the warning signs came early. Embarrassingly early. Game 1. Houston. DR Congo, a nation at its first World Cup in over 50 years. Final score, 1-1. Portugal, with all that firepower, couldn't beat DR Congo. Nobody panicked. Everyone called it rust. And when Portugal demolished Uzbekistan 5-0, Ronaldo scoring twice, turning back the clock, the world exhaled. There he is. The story's back on. But then came Colombia, 0-0, toothless, slow, predictable. Portugal finished second in their group, and Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo's old teammate, a man who loves him, went on television and used one word that cut deeper than any insult. Disconnected. He said Ronaldo looked disconnected from his own team. And finishing second in the group had a price. A brutal one. Because waiting in the round of 16 wasn't a gentle path to the quarterfinals. It was Spain. This is where the story stops being about one bad night and becomes about something much harder to fix. Because here's the question Portuguese fans have whispered for years and are now screaming. Can Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo actually play together? Think about what each of them needs. Bruno is chaos. At Manchester United, he thrives on transitions, risky passes, arriving late in the box, taking shots defenders don't expect. His record-breaking season happened in a system built around his freedom, where he was the sun and everything orbited him. Ronaldo, at 41, needs the opposite. He needs structure. He no longer stretches defenses with runs and behind. He lives in the box, now a finisher waiting for service. He needs a team that creates chances for him, delivered to exactly the right place at exactly the right moment. So who adapts to whom? Do you tell the Premier League player of the season to abandon the game that just broke a 23-year-old record? Or do you tell a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner at his 6th and final World Cup that the team no longer runs through him? No coach on earth wants to answer that question. Martínez never did. He tried to have both. At this World Cup, the answer was nobody. And that's how you lose. Watch the tape from Dallas, and you see two great players playing two different matches. Bruno drifting into pockets, hunting the game. Ronaldo isolated in the penalty area, waiting for deliveries that never arrived. Rooney saw it after the Colombia game. Disconnected wasn't an insult. It was a diagnosis. And this is where the Ronaldo story became complicated. Because there's a version of this where Bruno is the villain, the star who wouldn't sacrifice his own game to serve the legend one last time. But there's another version. A version where Bruno Fernandes sacrificed everything. Where the most prolific creator in Premier League history spent 4 matches trying to squeeze his chaos into a structure designed to protect a 41-year-old striker, and lost what made him special in the process. 21 assists playing his way. 0 playing Portugal's way. Maybe Bruno didn't block Ronaldo. Maybe they blocked each other. Which forces the question no Portugal fan wants to answer. Was this team built around Ronaldo, or was everyone just too afraid to build it around anyone else? And that question leads somewhere darker. Somewhere beyond Bruno entirely. Roberto Martínez. The man who had a full year after beating Spain in that nation's league final to solve one puzzle. How do you fit Bruno, Vitinha, Neves, Leao, Felix, and Ronaldo into one functioning team? He had 12 months, warm-up matches, endless camps, and in Dallas, with everything on the line, Spain outcreated Portugal 3-1. Ask yourself, when Marino scored in the 91st minute, who put him there? Luis de la Fuente, a substitute scoring, assisted by another substitute, Ferran Torres. Spain's bench won that game. Spain's coach won that game. What did Portugal's bench produce? What was Portugal's plan when Plan A stalled? Nobody could tell you, because there wasn't one. And here's the detail that should have worried Portugal from day one. We've seen this movie before. Roberto Martínez already coached one golden generation Belgium. De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, Courtois, the number 1 ranked team in the world. And under Martínez, that generation won nothing. Beautiful squads, big tournaments, quiet exits. Portugal hired the man whose defining career story was failing to turn gold into trophies and asked him to turn gold into a trophy. Nobody noticed this at the time, but the DR Congo draw told us everything. A squad this talented doesn't stumble against a team like that because of bad luck. It stumbles because it doesn't know what it is. And if we're being really honest, this is bigger than Martínez too. Portugal has produced 3 generations of extraordinary footballers. Figo's generation lost a Euro final at home, lost a World Cup semi-final. Ronaldo's generation, one glorious night in Paris in 2016, and then 20 years of almost. Golden generation after golden generation, and one European championship to show for it. The talent was never the problem. Portugal's curse is that it keeps producing orchestras and never finds a conductor. And then there's the weight nobody can measure. Imagine being one of those players in Dallas. You're not just trying to win a football match. You're carrying the final chapter of the most famous athlete your country has ever produced. Every touch, every pass, you're not playing for 3 points, you're playing for history. Teams don't perform under that kind of weight. They tighten, they shrink. 2 shots on target isn't just a tactical failure. It's what fear looks like on a stat sheet. Bruno Fernandes didn't create that curse. He just became its latest face. So, is Bruno Fernandes the biggest reason Portugal failed Ronaldo's Dream World Cup? You've seen the evidence. The record-breaking creator who created nothing. The shot into the side netting. But also the coach without a plan B. The team with no identity. The 2 superstars whose games never fit. The country that turns golden generations into beautiful failures. Maybe the truth is this. Ronaldo gave everything for Portugal. For 23 years, he carried them sometimes on one leg, sometimes with tears in his eyes, always believing. But football is not won by one player. It never was. Sometimes the biggest dreams aren't destroyed by a lack of talent. They're destroyed by moments, decisions, pressure, by 11 brilliant individuals who never became one team. Bruno Fernandes didn't kill Ronaldo's dream with 1 shot into the side netting. Portugal spent 20 years building a cathedral and never put a roof on it. The greatest goalscorer in history will retire without football's greatest prize. Not because he wasn't enough, because in the end, being Cristiano Ronaldo was never going to be enough, and that might be the most human thing about him. If you think Bruno deserves the blame, tell me why in the comments. If you think he's a scapegoat, defend him. Because this debate isn't ending tonight. Some stories don't get the ending they deserve. They just get an ending.